My name is Michael Seidman. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to see the introductory slideshow to see a little bit about my background. I've studied aging for years and free radical biology and oxidative processes in aging through studies funded from the National Institutes of Health and other places. I want to talk to you about antioxidants and the logic of them. And in order to understand that, you have to understand the problem. So there are oxidative processes that are occurring every day, very much like taking a bite out of the apple. It turns brown. Put a piece of metal outside, it rusts. That's an oxidative process. In the body, when we generate energy, we oxidize essentially. So we're rusting, if you will, or browning from the inside out. So it's important to understand what reactive oxygen species are, and they are also known as free oxygen radicals or reactive oxygen metabolites. And basically, it's any molecule with an unpaired electron. They're extremely chemically reactive, and they're responsible for more than 100 human diseases ranging from aging, Alzheimer's disease, heart attacks, stroke, and even arthritis, and many, many more. If you could look with a subatomic microscope, which does not exist, but if it did, even smaller than an electron microscope, you would see this. And these are like mini atomic bombs going off in your body at any one point in time. Studies done out of Emory University have shown that there are about 7 trillion, that's right, trillion, 7 trillion free radical insults per second occurring in your body. People always say, well, why? How are these being formed? Well, they're being formed just by energy production. So when your body, the mitochondria essentially, produces ATP, the primary energy source in our body, the byproduct is free radicals. It's very much like putting gasoline in a car. That's the good news. It goes from point A to point B. The bad news is you form hydrocarbons and waste and emission products out of the tailpipe. Preferably you put good food in the body. The good news is you make energy for immune surveillance, to kill cancer cells, to basically function, to think, to sleep, to eat, to metabolize. That's the good news. The bad news is that we form byproducts, one of them being free radicals, again, 7 trillion per second. You can also get them from environmental contaminants, from ionizing and ultraviolet radiation from being out in the sun. What most doctors understand are prolonged low blood flow states, like heart disease, like high blood pressure, like stroke. Also, if your diet is very fatty or processed, it can cause a generation of more free radicals and low levels of circulating antioxidants in your body. So this was actually a very clever ad I saw years ago for an antioxidant formula. It said people used to be worried about this kind of free radical, the hippie of the 60s, and now it's these kinds of free radicals, as you can see here. God was kind to us. God gave us mechanisms to protect ourselves from these free radicals: superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione peroxidase, antioxidants in the diet, and supplementation. The problem is there's a significant decline of these types of enzymes as we age. As early as our mid to late 20s, these enzymatic processes decline in our body, which is part of the aging process. And there are compelling studies. There are probably hundreds of studies that show us simple things like a reduced caloric intake can increase your lifespan because it reduces oxidation. Different things like BHA and BHT, which used to be used as preservatives in foods, are powerful antioxidants. It's also been shown that antioxidants and things that enhance mitochondrial function, like our anti-age energy formula, can improve exercise capacity, endurance, and can reduce your risk of certain types of diseases and disorders. You can't guarantee it. You have to be careful how you couch that. But in my mind, there is fairly compelling science to suggest that we can reduce our risk of certain types of things. We can't treat or cure anything, and we have to be careful about that. We do know that animals with longer lifespans have been shown to have higher antioxidant levels. We also know that dietary increases in antioxidants have been shown to increase lifespan in certain studies. And we've also seen that caloric restriction can actually confer protection from breast cancer, for example. And a lot of these are because of the reduction in the oxidative effects. There are more studies to show that an increased intake of antioxidants can reduce your risk of heart disease, risk of stroke, Alzheimer's, and cancer. There's always the controversy. There's always the opposite. In my first slideshow, I talked about that to some extent. There's strong evidence that there is an inverse correlation of blood vitamin C levels and heart disease. So the higher your vitamin C levels that are circulating, the lower the risk of heart disease. Again, controversy. We've done a lot of studies. We've published more than 100 different studies over the last 20 years. We looked at age-related behavioral changes and biological changes in the brain and in the inner ear. And on this slide here, you can see just the generation of free radical formation in young subjects compared to old subjects. The old subjects have almost double the rate of free radical production. The effect of aging on mitochondrial function, it declines. Hence, many people think that that's why we have a reduction in energy production as we age. This is one compound, resveratrol, an extract from red wine, and I had a grant from the National Institutes of Health and from the California Table Grape Association to study this, and we've shown a significant reduction in free radical generation by taking resveratrol. So you can see this dramatic effect here as you look on the screen. I've done some work with the military. We know that loud noise, we know that stress causes these types of problems. I had the opportunity to present some of our results to Congress a couple years ago. And we looked at the problem with our men and women coming home from Operation Iraqi Freedom and other military operations around the world, and 12.3% of them are being sent home for hearing-related trauma. A lot of this is because of oxidative processes, explosions going off, things of that nature. Another study out of our laboratories, the person who works down the hall from me and we participated, is looking at a specific type of a cancer cell. This is actually a U251 and a U87 glioma cell, a cancer within the brain. And what we found is that resveratrol imparts about a 300-fold increased likelihood of kill rate of those cancer cells. Now be careful how you interpret this. I can't say I can treat or cure cancer, but we can show that the resveratrol that's in the antioxidant formula can reduce that risk. I was quoted in Men's Health a few years ago, and they said 1 glass of red wine may not get you drunk, but it does go to your head, or more specifically to your ears. Researchers within our health system, which was me, found that when animals were given resveratrol, the wonder chemical in red wine, they had a 50% reduction in noise-induced hearing damage. And the quote attributed to me is, "We're confident this is just as effective in humans," as Michael Seidman, MD, the lead author. So when I put together this antioxidant formula, we used 30 outstanding all-natural vitamins, minerals, and herbs and phytonutrients, many powerful molecular cellular antioxidants, things that affect the mitochondria, other really exciting ingredients like quercetin, curcumin, which has anti-cancer properties, resveratrol, which we've talked a lot about, grapeseed extract, ginkgo biloba, ginseng, green tea extracts, bioflavonoids, glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid, lutein, bilberry, lycopene, acai berry, and many, many more. And what we think is that you safely provide the body optimal protection from these oxidative processes. More than 90% of the ingredients are all natural. We're made in an FDA-inspected laboratory, GMP certified. We use chelated minerals to enhance the absorption and improve your bioavailability. And what you do is you take 3 of these pills each day for maximum antioxidant protection. I appreciate your attention, and hopefully you'll watch some of our other slideshows.